to see that mindset shift, and I'm like, by definition, you are an investor. You have invested in only 4 tax liens. And it's like that shift of, I'm an investor. To see that shift, to see people understanding that they can do this and that they are successful at it. Like I get so proud and so excited and just want to be their biggest cheerleader.
Welcome back. Brian Peterson with Success Chronicles. Today, I am sitting with another rule breaker and might be one of my favorite conversations because she expresses the rule that is probably the biggest and the hardest to break, and that's decades of financial conditioning. It is so hard to break out of what we are told to do from the time we're kids into adulthood and then make the decision to break the rules that you've been taught your entire life. Watch this. I'm sitting down today with Christina Carnahan. Welcome, Christina.
Hi.
So excited.
Excited to be here.
I don't know if you really are.
I am. I'll get there.
You'll get there?
I'll get there.
Okay. So there's probably a huge introduction we should probably do about Christina Carnahan, because this is going to be so different from any other session, any other conversation that I've had with anybody involved with Tax Lien Code.
I'm interested to hear how you do this, though.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you start with this and then maybe piggyback a little.
Okay, so maybe I'm gonna do a quick overview and then we're gonna start at the beginning.
Got it.
Because you started out as a student and came through the entire process as a student, and then shortly after we hired you to work for Tax Lien Code. And you've been now with Tax Lien Code for, man, I feel like it's been 2 years.
Oh, yeah, almost 2.
Has it been 2 years?
About a year and a half.
Now you've been with us for a year and a half. And Tax Lien Code has changed so much since I feel like you've been here.
Yeah.
And you've been a huge part of that. So I want to talk about the whole journey. I want to talk about your journey at the beginning, why you started, what that beginnings was. And then I definitely want to talk about why you joined the company. And then what it's felt like being around so many students that are coming through the same process that you did, and maybe the feelings and what you've learned from that process.
Let's do it.
So take me back to the very beginning. So maybe start with, what were you doing when you came to that first Tax Lien Code seminar?
I didn't, to be honest with you. So my husband and his business partner at the time went to the free masterclass, and they were all in. They wanted to come to the 3-day weekend. They paid for it. And my husband's business partner couldn't make it. Yeah. And my husband loves all things real estate, has wanted to get an avenue into being involved. And like I said, his partner wasn't able to make it. And he asked me to come to take notes for him.
You were just the scribe.
I was the scribe. And quite honestly, I wanted nothing to do with it. He told me about this real estate thing where you can make all of this money off interest. And I'm like, it really sounds illegal. Yeah. I don't know what it is that you are buying into where you can get those kinds of returns or do whatever it is that you're talking about and have it be a safe type of investment. Yeah. And be legal at the same time. So it was a hard no for me. But after 3-4 days of him just insisting that I show up with him, I went to the 3-day event and was just mind blown that something like this existed. And by the end of the weekend, he was like, oh, this is pretty cool. You know, I don't know how far I'm going to go with it. And I was at the back table signing up, like, I'm all in. Like, I have to do this. I'm so excited about it. And so I went from a hardcore skeptic, thinking this was highly illegal, to being back at the table to join.
Now, it's so funny because of how many people are in that same situation. So let's go back one step even further to maybe get a baseline. Okay. You and your husband still own a business. So you kind of came, like, you were kind of an entrepreneur. Tell me about that part. So where you came in from.
So really, he's the entrepreneur. I grew up in an environment where it was kind of like, you don't go outside the system. You go to school, you do well, you get a job, you work hard, you maybe have enough, and work is miserable, and then you die. Yeah. And so it's like you work hard, you get money, but it's never enough. And you just don't really question that. You don't push outside of that. And it was, work harder. And it was never really like my parents earning more or doing anything different. It's what they were taught to do. And they had that consumer mindset. I was around family this past weekend and we were talking about some friends of theirs who are entrepreneurs who made a ton of money. And one of my family members, the comment was like, oh, well, that's great for them, but I'll never have that.
Yeah.
And after being kind of around Tax Lien Code and changing my mentality, I was like, but you can.
Yeah.
And I never thought that way before. And they just kind of looked at me and they're like, well, you're right. I can if I win the lottery.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but no, but that's what I grew up believing. It was just, I taught for 10 years. I loved the kids. There's not really a salary attached to teaching. And so I had just kind of accepted that's how life was going to be. And my husband was an entrepreneur, hated school. And so he kind of was one that started pushing me to think outside of that box.
Yeah.
Had kids. When I had my youngest kid, or our youngest kid, he was super sick growing up. It was about 1.5 years of just doctor's appointments, him not doing well. And so I couldn't work.
Yeah.
After that, I supported a lot of his business and started getting more involved in that entrepreneur space.
Yeah.
And that was kind of when we started looking into like Tax Lien Code. So I was just starting to stretch those boundaries, but still very much in that consumer mindset, and that a little bit of panic, like those types of opportunities don't really exist for people.
Or maybe they exist, but not for people like me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you come to that class because your husband just pestered you into coming. You come in and it's such a swing of emotions. I mean, you had to get rid of decades of underlying belief systems.
Yeah.
Was there something that was said or done during that week where you were finally like, oh, wait, what if it's real? What if it's right? Like, do you remember? Maybe I'm fishing.
So no, actually, I heard about consumer mindset for the first time.
Okay.
And the first time it was mentioned in the class, I was like, I don't even really know what that means. But it was true. Like the thoughts of how every type of debt is terrible, or how, again, just my mindset of it's impossible to break out of this system, to make more money, to get these advantages that businesses or corporations get. Just, I had no idea that it was tied to mindset at all. So hearing this consumer mindset versus this mindset of the wealthy, or I think Corey had said is, everybody stand up and everybody freaked out. Like, you, as of right now, like, you're wealthy.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a flip of a mindset. And obviously there's action that's required with it.
Yeah.
But to understand that you can hold yourself back that much is crazy.
Isn't it interesting?
It was the first time I really thought about it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So then Mike is like, I'm out. Like, it's not for me because he's got a cool business. And so he's just like, I'm going to keep running my business. But then you decided to continue on. What was that conversation like between you and your husband?
So I don't think it was necessarily that he was like, I don't want any part of this. But I think when he saw my interest, it was like he wanted this avenue of another way to kind of diversify the things that he was working on, and ways to kind of secure the funds that are coming in from being an entrepreneur. And when I was interested, I think he trusted that, like, she's got this. Like, he knows that if I put my mind to something, I'm going to do it to my all. And once he saw that I had that interest, it was like,
so he was just supportive.
Deal.
He was just like, okay, this is going to be your thing. I'm going to focus on the business, and then you get to play with the money. And
it was really like, if this is something that you are interested in, and it's something that you feel like you can pursue and that you have the time to pursue and that you want to pursue, let's do it.
Yeah.
And he still is part of it. But he's more he loves the coin and crypto scene.
Does he?
And then I get to diversify into real estate. So
you got to make sure that the money's actually secure into something.
He loves the properties. Like, he wants to buy the properties, tour the properties, see the properties, loves like looking at houses, that type of thing. And then it's like the tax liens. He's like, that's your thing. So.
That's funny. Cause I was in the same way. At the beginning of my career, I wanted tangible. And after a decade, I was like, I don't ever want to go see another house in my life.
I'm good.
I don't want to. Okay. So then you started your journey. You ran to the back of the room, you enrolled. I mean, it's amazing the amount of people that look at what we do in tax lien investing, like, it's a scam. Like, the amount of times that we hear that can't be right, that it's a scam, it doesn't exist. Getting that type of return in something that's secure, like, to your point, like, it's just got to be made up. When was your final, like, maybe not final, but when did you realize, like, oh no, this actually It's because you go through the class, you got all excited, the mentality started flipping, but when did it actually become real for you?
I think when we sat at Foundations and we learned how to do this on our own, and you click that button
to buy your first one.
To buy it. It's the whole process is terrifying. But being able to see beyond that and to be willing to take a chance on it, I feel like there's so many different things that people are willing to say yes to.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like for me, this was one of those things where honestly, it could have been a roll of the dice. You know, you want to have faith in what you're doing. You want to have faith in the people that are standing in the front of this room who have done it. Yeah. And you certainly have to have faith in yourself. But when I got to Foundations and bought that first tax lien, it was like, okay, it's real. You can do it. And then the first check coming in is just really that pat on the back where it's like, okay, this actually works. Yeah. So
it's one of my favorite conversations I have with students. They get that first check and it goes from like theory or like, yeah, Corey could do it, Brian could do it, whoever, like they can do it. But when you get that first check, like something clicked in my head. Tell me about that for you.
So honestly, I everybody says it, and it's one of the things that I love seeing in Discover is like, congratulations on your first redemption. It's addicting. And that's really the only word to describe it. It's addicting. And I think my favorite part is my kids sitting there, my daughter especially. She's got this entrepreneur mindset already. She actually helps me buy all my tax liens.
Okay.
But her asking, well, what's that check for? Why did you get paid? Where did it come from? She starts asking all these questions about, well, do you own that property? And so we've gone through the entire process. But to watch her get excited and be like, well, when's the next check coming? Or how much can you make with that one? And start looking and telling me why properties are great ones for a lien or not. I'm like, she's good. She's set.
How old is she?
She's 11.
It's fun, isn't it?
It is. Well, and so now, like, yes, it's addicting to have mailbox checks or just all these deposits. But now to see her get excited and want to do the same thing, like, it's been a really neat journey that's just starting. So,
it's an interesting idea as well that the foundation of your mindset from when you were a kid lasted decades. So at 11 years old, she is now being taught and setting a different financial mindset that's going to carry on for hopefully decades for her whole life. What does that feel like as a mom?
I just don't think there's words. Like, it's just that overwhelming, I don't know. Like, I just have this sense that they're going to be okay. It's hard, like working your butt off, teaching. I know there's so many other professions that are the same way, but teaching and dedicating so much time and effort inside the classroom, outside the classroom, and then having that feeling that it's not going to be enough, or knowing that with the amount of time, I know people say, oh, you have time off in the summer, but there really isn't time to go do anything else, get a second job or do whatever. So to have those concerns, like I said, my son was sick, so it's medical bills, it's time. It's like, no matter what I was doing, it was never enough.
Yeah.
And I just hope that my kids never have to feel that way with a different path or a different mindset from the start. Yeah. So
that's amazing. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. So you bought that first tax lien. You knew it worked. And then you went to some of the other classes. I remember you came to Expo.
Yeah.
And then you sent me an email.
Can I tell?
Yeah.
I was asked to send you an email.
No, I know.
Okay.
I know. And I don't know that I guess it came through Dan and then Dan forwarded it on to me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say I don't get a lot of emails, but I really don't. I don't like transacting through emails. I hate email actually. But Dan called me up. He's like, I'm going to send you this email. Do you know how long that email was?
I think you told me it was 8 pages.
It was 8 pages. And generally, sorry, just a sec. When somebody sends you an 8-page email, like, I'm like, all right, I don't know if I should say this on a podcast, but like, who is this Karen? Right? Like, who is this person sending me an 8-page email?
But the thing that's been so funny to me is it is so opposite of like, I'm the most least confrontational person.
Yeah.
And when Dan was talking to me about this, I was like, the last thing that I want to do is write your CEO an email complaining about anything, because I'm very much the type of person where like if something goes wrong, that's on me. I either didn't do my due diligence, maybe I missed something. And so I'm like the last person to complain or become Karen. And he was like, no, I've got to tell you, Brian is the type of person that would want to know your experience. And I'm like, there's just no way. And he's like, I just want you to be as detailed as possible.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I'm like, you can't be serious. And he's like, no, I want to know everything. Brian wants to know everything. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was 8 pages worth of everything.
Yeah. Well,
I'm never going to live this down.
No, you're probably not. I mean, that email was interesting because as a business, I think it highlighted the thing that we're all afraid of, is that we're failing. Like, what if my business isn't great? What if there's failure? And when you sent that email, printed it off and I read through it, and it was like devastating. Like, because every single department, like, and so your email was written completely different though. It wasn't like, it's a scam, it doesn't work, I hate Tax Lien Code. You are like some of the things we've been called online, that I've been called online, like you're sitting next to Satan in hell. Like, it's like you're kicking grandma out of her home, right? Like, and so like I can get past a lot of that because like I know what our intentions is. I know why we're buying tax liens. I know the benefit that it gives people. So like stuff that I don't believe, like I feel like I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin generally. And so criticism that I like, okay, that's not it. That's not the intention. That's not what we do. Or just like, it's a scam. Well, no, it's not. Like, been doing it long enough, I know it's not a scam. But when I read your email, it was devastating because I was like, well, when I have this friend, one of the things he told me right when we started Tax Lien Code was, when you get criticism, like approach it from the context or the lens of, what if they're right? And so I'm reading your email thinking, shoot, what if she's right? That was one of the best pieces of advice I think I've gotten as when we started Tax Lien Code. And since Tax Lien Code started, was look at criticism from the aspect or the vantage point of what if they're right? And I'm reading this email. It's 8 pages long. And there was criticism for every single department in our company. And I'm reading it thinking, what if she's right? What if there are things to fix in every single department of our company? And so I printed out your email. Well, not printed out. I downloaded, I took the attachment and I sent it out to our entire management team. And we spent a month in management meeting dissecting your email. Like for hours every week, we went through department by department, all of the things that were in your email, and realized that a lot of the things that were in your email were right. That from a business perspective, as our company had grown, we'd probably grown too fast and we had breakage everywhere. And it was a really weird realization. And it took our management team a good month to get on board with, we are looking at it from a perspective of how do we get better as a company? And as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I think that's it was hard. It was a hard month for, I think, our entire management team to realize, like, what if Christina's right?
It's hard to hit send.
I bet. Well, I'm so grateful that you did, because so much of the compliments, so many of the reviews that we read online now about Tax Lien Code and what Tax Lien Code has become is because of that one single email that you sent. So first of all, publicly now in writing on camera, thank you so much for sending that email, because it was written in a way that was very gracious and very helpful. But also gave us a huge opportunity to reflect on all of the things we were doing wrong as a company. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank Dan. He got me to send it.
All right. Well, I'll send Dan a care package. All right. So that was a big turning point, I think, for us as a company to get that email and realize that there was a big uphill. And then you didn't quit. No, like you didn't stop following up. And it took a little while for us as a company to settle and get bearings and start fixing the problems.
Yeah.
But then you didn't stop emailing.
It was because of, I don't know if you remember, but you invited me to a Zoom call after I sent that email, which again was terrifying. I'm like, now I have to face this guy that I just sent this email to.
Yeah.
But you showed up with that. What if she's right? Like, You weren't mad. You weren't criticizing. You were genuinely curious about my experience. And the fact that you cared enough to want to be better made all the difference. Had you showed up on that Zoom call and been somebody that was just trying to put out fires, who had an excuse or a reason why I'm wrong, or, my perspective is my perspective. It could be wrong.
Yeah.
But the fact that you wanted to know more and wanted to use that to do better or to do things differently, like, I'm all in at that point. Yeah. I'm happy to give you my opinion or my perspective or what maybe I was expecting or what I thought, because it mattered.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks volumes for the company when the people from the top down care enough to want to be better. There's so many companies out there talking about the scams where it's like, once you give them that check or once you swipe that credit card, they disappear.
Yeah.
And to find out that this company wasn't one of those was all the difference. Like, you wouldn't have heard from me again if that's what that meeting was.
Yeah.
So.
Well, a couple months later, we hired you full time.
Yes.
We asked you to come back in and help. Like, we'd started fixing some of the things and had started going down, but to have you come back in and go through the journey as somebody that started out as a student, and just go through the entire process and audit and make it better. But then transitioning, or maybe not transition, maybe that's the wrong word, but you, parlayed, moved, I don't know what to call it. You started working with Discover and then started talking and being, I'll say, a liaison and talking with all of the students that are coming in and talking about their experiences and how their experience has been good and bad with Tax Lien Code. And you've probably talked with more students, and you're the one that usually finds students for me to talk with on these Success Chronicles. But what's it been like to be so face forward with Tax Lien Code students?
I've enjoyed it. Honestly, it's almost like a little mirror of myself. Like, I know exactly where these students are. I feel like the difference sometimes maybe between myself and the instructors is they're there to teach. They're there to transfer this knowledge, and they've got way more than I do. This hasn't been my job for 20 plus years. I've not been involved in all these real estate transactions, but what I can do is relate to exactly where all of these students are. And so to be able to be that liaison or that person for them, because my journey is very similar to theirs, I think it gives them a space just to really express what they're doing, what they're going through, the fears that they have, the successes and the wins that they're seeing, and just really be able to relate on that emotional level, and understand exactly what they're going through. So
what are they going through? As students are first starting this journey, what are they going through?
There's a lot of fear, but there's a lot of excitement, and there's this desire to be different. Whatever it is that they're doing, it's working.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people realize that there's so much more that's possible, and they're looking for that bridge to get there. And I feel like that's what Tax Lien Code is for so many of these students. And you said, like, when you see that first check, it's like this light just clicks for people, and they understand that this is that step that they've been looking for. This is that vehicle to get them to where they want to be, which a lot of people say freedom, financially, time, family. So that's a huge motivation.
And that fear it's so big.
It is.
What is the most persistent fear that people have when they first start?
One, is it a scam? People want to know that this works. And again, I think it takes a little bit of faith in the beginning, but when you do purchase that first lien, when you do have that first redemption, it's a huge weight off your shoulders.
Yeah.
Another thing I hear from students when they come to these events, a requirement that you have for this company is anybody standing in front of this room or working at Tax Lien Code needs to invest. And so when people are hearing these stories about all of the things that our instructors have done, it gives them that confidence too, that, well, if they've done it, I can do it. So it's one of my favorite parts too, is being at all these events. I get to see the journey over time for each of these students and reconnect with them month after month or whenever the next event is, and hear all the little action steps that have happened since the last time they were here. And just being able to motivate and encourage people, this doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
And if you think it does, then that's the scam. But being able to just support them and encourage them and tell them that it'll happen. Like, keep taking those steps, keep doing what you're doing. It's working. So
I just, I don't think it's out yet, so you probably haven't seen it. And you know, because you helped set it up. I just had a second conversation with Edgar. And I know what that feels like for me to see somebody, you know, you talk to them at the beginning, as you do, right? You see them at an expo or a summit, and then you see them 6 months, 12 months later, and you see like their success, like Jody, right? Like, frankly, we didn't know Jody existed. He came through the classes and we saw him a year later and he made $1 million.
Yep.
When you see students go through that process, how does it make you feel when you talk to them and you know that these are the fears, these are the worries that they had, and then you see or talk to them again a year later at a symposium or an expo or something? How does it make you feel?
I don't know. I hate to use the term, but you know, like when people are like, oh, they feel like my little kids or like my grandchildren or whatever, like, not that I'm not old enough to be a grandma yet, but like, I have so much pride in what they're doing because again, I know the fears that are there.
Yeah.
And I know what it took to overcome those and to be a part of this. And, you know, another thing people talk about is the outside noise, the family that doesn't understand what you're doing, the friends that have no concept of what's going on. And it's just all this negativity chirping in their ears. So to be able to be their biggest cheerleader when they walk into the rooms here and let them know, like,
yeah,
you're doing it. Like, it's happening. I had somebody the other day, they're like, well, I only bought 4 tax liens. I'm like, only?
Yeah.
Like, that is the biggest deal. And to see that mindset shift, and I'm like, by definition, you are an investor. You have invested in only 4 tax liens. And it's like that shift of, I'm an investor. One of our last interviews at Summit, I was like, say it for me. She couldn't say I'm an investor.
Yeah.
And she had to sit on it. And the more she thought about it, and she was like, I am an investor. So like to see that shift, to see people understanding that they can do this and that they are successful at it. Like, I get so proud and so excited. I just want to be their biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
So.
It's fun to be a cheerleader, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, you get to be a cheerleader a lot on Discover.
Discover, that's one of my favorite parts.
Is it? Why?
Again, it's you're able to support people in like some of the biggest changes of their lives that not only impacts their life, but for a lot of these people, like future generations, they want to change the path, they want to change the script, and to have a small part in that role, I think is just incredible.
You know, you've been a big cheerleader. One of the things that surprised me a little bit, though, is you were talking about the outside noise, and you've been talking about the negativity. Like, you know, your family member is like, yeah, it could happen to me if I win the lottery. There's so much doubt and that noise outside. But then when we started Discover almost about a year ago, I had no idea what to expect. Had no idea. You know, part of me expected that we were going to have to hire like 16 moderators, and it was going to be constantly deleting threads and kicking people out. And it was just going to be this nightmare of getting rid of people because of all the negativity we see just in traditional social media.
Yeah.
Right. Like the amount of negative comments. Like my son did an interview. We did this with Braden, and I told him before, like, there's going to be some negativity. And sure enough, you go through TikTok and you go through Instagram, and there's like somebody picking on a 19-year-old kid. It's ridiculous. But so I kind of expected that inside of Discover. Yeah. And it's not been that. All like completely opposite. You have these people that have just turned into massive cheerleaders, and it's become this forum and this group of people that people are just cheering everybody else on. Yeah. Why?
I think they know what it feels like to not have that support. We would, you know, before Discover, you have these live events, and everybody's favorite part was being in a room of, the term is used every time, like-minded people. And now you have them in your pocket with you 24/7. And I think it's just this common goal and this common understanding that a different way of life is possible. Yeah. If you believe it and if you take action. And so it's constantly having this motivation. People come to these events and they get hyped up and they get excited, and then they slowly have all that sucked away from them when they step back into their environment. So to have this whole group of people who are just as excited as you, pushing you, encouraging you, reading their wins, cheering you on for your own, it's infectious and people just want to be a part of it. So,
well, it's been so fun to watch. I think it's also been fun to watch when somebody says like, I'm struggling and like, this isn't working and I'm having a hard time. And somebody else jumps in there and says, like, this is how I overcame it. We're not
going to let you fail. Yeah.
Like, hey, like we got you. And I went through the same thing and they start giving this advice.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, it's fun to not be involved, if that makes sense. Like it's fun for me to just like be the person just watching and reading and like, I don't say making sure nothing wrong is said, but like kind of trying to moderate. And usually I just send you a message like, hey, can you clean this up? But it's fun to not feel responsible and be the only person that can answer a question.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think that's one of my favorite parts is that there's so many people involved that are having successes and wins that are willing to share. Like, it's amazing how many times I have heard, well, if you're doing so well and you're buying all these tax liens, then why are you teaching everybody else? And then you see that come to life with so many other people that aren't of this deficit mindset, that are willing to share and be like, hey, if it worked for me, it's going to work for you too.
Yeah.
What would you say to the person that is not on Discover right now, that's involved with Tax Lien Code, but not on Discover?
They've got to get on Discover. We've got an app. It's so easy, Tax Lien Code Discover app. And it really is that. It's constant interaction with like-minded people who want the same thing as you. Yeah. And it's literally in your pocket, in your hand at all times. Like there's no reason to not be on there if you're part of Tax Lien Code.
And it's free.
It's free.
That's all right. One final piece of advice from Christina actually, let's do it this way.
Okay.
When was that first class you came to that your husband brought you to? 3 years ago?
2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
2.5, 3.
If you sitting here, Christina, today, 2025, what would you say to the Christina that was walking through the workshop doors going into the 3-day class? What would you tell yourself having experienced the last 2-3 years?
I think the biggest thing for me is understanding that fear is okay. Fear and being uncomfortable is a sign that you're growing and you're moving. And I think one of the biggest things that I tell people at these events is they have this sense that the fear goes away. The longer you've been here, the more you're doing, it just goes away. And I just laugh. I'm like, do you think when Scott signs a new deal on a multifamily apartment complex, he's not like a little bit nervous? And they're like, well, I never thought about that. Or I'm like, you think when Brian does something, he's not nervous? And they're like, oh, yeah, he might be. So just understanding that the fear doesn't go away, but you don't let it paralyze you and dictate what you do and don't do, I think has been the biggest thing for me with my mindset. That fear is a sign that I'm growing, that there's a challenge, that there's work to do. It's not going to go away if I don't take action, but I kind of invite it now.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. Me. Of course.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. Well, if you're not on Discover, you're missing so much. It's time to get on Discover. It's time to be surrounded by a community of people that are resilient, that are excited, and for an opportunity for you to lift other people up as well. So if you're not on Discover right now, today is the time. Join us. We'll see you soon.